Hi everyone, thanks for tuning in, and today we have a special guest. This is Dr. Randi Tanglen, who is our Vice Provost for Faculty Affairs, and she joined us 8 weeks ago here on the campus. And so welcome, Randi. It's great to have you here.
Thank you so much, President Armacost.
Yeah, and why don't you tell us a little bit about your transition here to UND and how it's been going?
Oh, things have been great. This is such an exciting time to be on campus. There's a lot of energy. We have a new strategic plan, and everyone has been just so supportive and so welcoming. Provost Link and everyone in the provost's office, the other vice provosts, they've really been there for me to provide leadership and wise counsel. And Taylor Hansen-Wald has been working closely with me. She's an academic affairs coordinator, really helping me get adjusted and feeling welcome on campus.
Nice. It sounds like a great transition,
Yeah.
but tell us a little bit about before the transition.
Yeah.
What was life like before you came to UND?
Yeah, so immediately before coming to UND, I was the Executive Director of Humanities Montana, the State Humanities Council of Montana, and that's based in Missoula, Montana. And we gave grants and programs in the humanities to communities all over the state. And I'm actually from Eastern Montana and spent some time in Western North Dakota every summer when I was growing up. And, you know, it really has occurred to me that coming from those places really shaped who I was as a person and a higher education professional. Because small rural communities like Sidney, Montana, where I'm from, they're vital and they're vibrant, but all too often they're overlooked and underestimated. And that has made me very aware of what is seen as less than, what we forget. And so that is why in my work as an English professor, I was an English professor at Austin College in Texas for 12 years. Yeah. In my work as an English professor and my research and my teaching, I really looked at those voices of American literary history that are forgotten about, that really made a difference that we need to be aware of. Also, when I was at Austin College, I was the director of the Faculty Development Center, and I found another passion there, and that's working with my faculty colleagues, because as you know, our faculty are on the front lines of bringing knowledge and support to our students at this really crucial time, and in turn, we can provide them with support and care too. And so it's just an honor to be doing that work here with the faculty at UND.
Nice. I love the focus. We should all have it, of course, on the students, right? How do we set up ourselves, our programs, our faculty for success so that our students really benefit from it?
Exactly.
And so a typical day, I mean, you've only, as I mentioned, 8 weeks into the role. What's a typical day look like for you?
Well, every morning I wake up with the mission to make UND a great place to be a faculty member. So that means that every day is different, especially right now as I'm getting to know people across campus. The last few weeks I've spent a lot of times in department meetings, introducing myself, getting to know faculty, hearing about the great work that they're doing in their departments and programs. Yesterday I found myself in a group, in a meeting with department chairs who were imagining and just dreaming big what they could do for their students if there were no obstacles. It was so inspiring. Actually, the other week, I found myself in the forensic science lab with Dr. Lavinia Yanku. I tried not to leave my DNA behind for the crime scene room, but I'm not sure how successful I was with that. I've been going to lectures and events and panels across campus, and it's just been a real joy to become part of this vibrant academic community.
Yeah, vibrant is right, and it sounds like a busy schedule, but certainly you've learned some interesting things both on campus and in Grand Forks. Any key highlights at this point?
You know, I'm trying to think of a way to say it's really cold here without just saying it's really cold here. When I was a faculty member in Texas, if there was one snowflake in the air, the students would expect their professors to cancel their classes. But my students knew that Professor Tanglen would not cancel class because she's from Montana and she's tough. I've discovered I am not tough because Grand Forks gives Montana a run for its money when it comes to winter weather and the cold. But you have to embrace it. And the other week I was I took a snowshoeing class at Turtle River State Park, and I'm just really looking forward to exploring the area, getting involved in the community, finding random adventures. It's a great place to live.
Nice. Well, it sounds like those interests are fascinating, and snowshoeing is always great.
Yeah.
You're right, it is cold here, but
yes.
but I'm always amazed at the I don't know, the sense of vigor
Yes.
that our citizens and our members of campus actually go through the day with, in spite of the cold temperatures.
Yep.
But so let's turn it back to you. So you mentioned snowshoeing, but any interesting facts about Randi Tanglen? Who is Randi Tanglen?
Well, you know, one thing about me that people are always a little surprised about is that I am a huge fan of the series Yellowstone. Have you seen it?
I have.
Yes, and the prequels, 1883 and 1923. And people are always surprised because it's not very literary, and actually people in Montana don't like Yellowstone because it's not authentic. But I love it. It's set in Montana, filmed in Montana, and I was actually cast as an extra to play a swanky lady in a couple of scenes, but I had to decline because of a work commitment. It all worked out because then I would have been discovered and they would have had to write a whole new character for me, and then but I ended up here and it all worked out.
And you wouldn't have been here, right?
Exactly. So it all worked out the way it was supposed to.
We're happy you didn't show up in Yellowstone.
Yeah.
Still an aspiration, perhaps, for
maybe.
later on.
Yes.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And then, in closing, we should probably also mention that March is Women's History Month.
That's right.
And so, an important chance for us to recognize important women in history and the contributions of women on our campus, both historically and also today. And I know that part of your work has been in history of American women or history of American women's literature. Please share that with today's viewers.
Yes, well, I can give our viewers today a couple of writers they might want to look into. And remember, I'm really interested in those forgotten voices, those writers that we need to go back to and really look at the contribution that they made. When I was in the classroom, students loved the poetry of Phyllis Wheatley. She was an enslaved woman from West Africa who was a household name in Boston and New England in the 1700s. And she's probably the most famous poet that a lot of us have never even heard of. And the reason my students loved her poetry was because on the surface, it's very pious and virtuous. But if you read it at just a slant, there's a subtle but very cutting critique of the slavery and racism of the day. One other writer that I need to mention, because when I was growing up, my favorite book was Little Women by Louisa May Alcott. And here's another woman writer who maybe doesn't get the recognition that she deserves for the influence that she's had on American literary history. Little Women is more than just a sweet, sentimental novel. It says a lot about what it means to be a woman and what it means to make a contribution to your community and to your family. And actually, my favorite quote comes from Louisa May Alcott in some of her published letters. It's 4 words: hope and keep busy. And to me, that means more than just be positive and forget about your problems. Hope is thinking about the future and imagining a better future, and that's part of our educational enterprise, right? And keeping busy is finding our place in that important work and the meaningful contribution that we can make. So hope and keep busy, I think those are great words to keep in mind for Women's History Month.
That's wonderful. What a great message, and a challenge to all of us to keep our apertures wide and look for new experiences through the lenses of others. And so thanks for sharing that. And it was great to have you here today.
Thank you so much, President Armacost.
And so here we go, campus. This is Randi Tanglen. Dr. Tanglen, again, our Vice Provost for Faculty Affairs. We're delighted that you are here today. And to all of you, enjoy the rest of the semester. We're going into spring break soon. So here we go. Second half of the semester. Good luck to all.